All right, so someone wanted to see how you can swap the plastic on these click wheels. The reason you'd want to do this is so you could put an aftermarket click wheel into your iPod and have it sit flush. If you have any experience with these aftermarket ones, usually they don't sit right, like the aftermarket 7th gen ones, which would be this kind of plastic. You can see the font's kind of wrong, and it's got like a matte texture to it. These are actually thicker than the original 7th gen wheels. So if you put it in here, it sticks up. But as you can see, this is an original one. It says Apple 2007 on it. But, you know, the aftermarket plastic, that's because I took the aftermarket electronics and put them in here with the original plastic, and it sits flush and it works fine. Well, fine-ish. If you're doing this mod to try to fix dead zones on your 7th gen, beware, it might not work. For example, I got this wheel, this aftermarket one, so I could do this very mod, and I put it in here, and it has the exact same dead zones as it did with the original electronics. I tried both plastics, it has the exact same dead zones. It works totally fine in like 99% of the wheel, but right here, right above here, unless you're pressing harder, it doesn't register touch, and I have no idea why. And I was thinking swapping the electronics to what is essentially a new one with the aftermarket one. I was hoping that would fix that dead zone, but it doesn't. So the dead zone issues must be deeper than the click wheel, and I'm gonna figure out more about that when I get my next 7th gen that I'm gonna be taking apart. But just for proof that you can do this mod without breaking anything, this is my, I can't really show it very well, but this is my 5.5. I took the plastic out of here when I was doing some other experiments between the 5th and the 7th wheels. By the way, the 5th gen plastic is thicker, and you can put it on the 7th one, and the 7th still reads fine. So it's still got that dead zone, obviously. But as you can see, it does still work. This has been removed. And yeah, once you remove the plastic the first time, it's much easier to do afterwards. What I recommend you do, because this one, for example, I took the adhesive off, I just sort of rubbed it off with my fingers, so now it's like shiny. It does still work, and then there's no adhesive on the back. Here, I rubbed that off as well, so if you just install it like this into your iPod, the first time you turn it over, it's just gonna fall right out. There's nothing else holding it in. So what I recommend you do is you take some double-sided tape and you just put it here and here and here and here, just really, really thin stuff. I take like a little 1 centimeter square and just put it there. You don't want to put it here because of these bumps here that might screw something up. So just put it there, make sure it's lined up when you stick it on, and make sure it's not upside down, obviously. And then you want to line these up. You see there's the bumps go center in the holes. And then you just would press it down, and it stays on just fine afterwards. For example, this one here and this one are both stuck in with double-sided tape. And they both work just fine. But I have this one here, which I just pulled out of a black 5th gen, and it has not had the plastic removed yet. As you can see, the 5th gen and 7th gen electronics look slightly different, but they operate the same. They're not interchangeable though. It has nothing to do with this as far as I know, but they're not interchangeable. So I'm going to show you how to do it on this one. Forewarning, I'm going to try to test this at the end. This was working, and then I just reassembled the iPod after I actually took I had this wheel in this iPod, and then I took the wheel out of this black one, and I put it in here because it was in slightly better condition. And it works in here, I just showed you that. But now this one, once I put it back in the black iPod, it wasn't working anymore. Nothing is torn, so I have no idea why it wasn't working, but I'm hoping maybe something just wasn't seated right. We'll see. I'll try to test it at the end, but forewarning, it might not work, and then it's going to look like I broke something even though I didn't, I promise. Okay, so the gist of this is that you just want to get your super thin tool. You could, I guess, use a knife for this, but you're probably going to break something if you use an X-Acto or whatever. You have to be super careful. So I would use one of these, nothing thicker, nothing sharper. I've also done this with like a little mini one, and it works fine as long as it's one of these thin tools. So the gist of it is that you want to get in right at the edge, and there's like a little lip in there that you can sort of stick this into, and it'll move. You can sort of feel it. I like to start anywhere but here because this part is the scariest one. You want to kind of save that one for last. So you just sort of get it down in there, and I just press and then try my best to slide it under there. And you can kind of feel if it's not going to go, and you want to be super careful because if you're pushing too hard and you miss, you can scrape the electronics, and this is really hard to get a focus on. So yeah, you obviously don't want to scrape the electronics. That would be very bad. So you just sort of, and these are pretty flexible. You don't have to worry about like snapping them. I've done this on, there we go. See, look at that, just right under there. I've done this on like 3 or 4 of them now. This will be like the 4th or 5th, I can't remember. And I haven't broken one yet. So once you get it in there, then you just want to sort of scoot it to the side. Just be super slow, super careful. Obviously, you don't want to risk breaking it. If you feel more comfortable doing it this way, you can take this black plastic guard thingy with these lips. You can take this off first. In the same sense, you just slide underneath. I did that on the first one, like that. I did that on the first one I did, and it turned out to be pointless because you can take the electronics out of here without taking that off. There's really no reason to take that off, so I would just leave it on. But if for some reason that makes you more comfortable, it is totally doable. And you don't want to bend this too much. I mean, it's flexible enough, but I assume if you bend it too much, you might cause issues. So I would just keep going slowly but surely, making sure you're not digging down too hard. Once you're in there, you really want to stay, like parallel with the plastic. But it can help to flex it. And once I get down to this point, I don't really want to go anywhere near this, so I'm going to stop and go back out the other way. Just make sure that's lifted up. And you obviously have to get all the way in so you can actually separate all the adhesive, because the adhesive they use in here is pretty strong. When you get to these nubs, you can go out and around them, or you can go over them like this, but it's harder to go over them. So I would just go around them. And it's a little nerve-wracking, but like I said, I've done this a couple times. I haven't broken any of them yet. They all still work. I've done it on 5th gens and 7th gens now. I don't know how well this would work with other iPods. I guess I don't know which ones have this same style of clickwheel. Because like the 4th gens, for example, have like that weird frame on them, and I'm not sure how well that would work. Getting past these bumps is the worst part because you always feel like you're gonna tear something. But once you're towards the end here, which I am now, I'm back on the other side of the ribbon connector. There we go. Now is the part where I would sort of go around and just go back into where I was and pry it outwards gently. Don't want to pry too hard because, again, you don't want to bend this, I don't really know what to call it. I guess it's a touch sensor. It looks like a capacitive touch sensor when you get a look at it. You can sort of see how it works if you understand how capacitive touch sensors work. It seems like it's got those dashes in it, in the ring. So the ring is split up into segments, and then when it detects your fingers going over one of the gaps, I think that's how it detects movement. I think. I have not really a good idea, but okay. So I'm right at the end here, and then once you get everything really loosened up and pried out, then you can sort of just pull it apart. The only part I didn't loosen up was right here, and that's fine because once everything else is loosened, you can probably just pull it off. But if you're having trouble pulling it off like I am right now, this one's being kind of stubborn, then you can go in from the inside like this and get that off. I just wouldn't go in to this segment near the ribbon from the outside. because you're risking tearing the ribbon then. And there we go. Now it's separate. And yeah, and it is normal to see these little plastic shavings. Those are pieces of the click wheel plastic. They just come right off with your thumbnail. Don't worry about that. This is actually, I'm kind of surprised there's only like the 1 or 2, because usually there's a lot more. I must be getting better at this because I shaved off very little plastic. But that's just from when you do this part and you're in there and you shave off little bits of plastic. You can see there's some in here. Again, not really a problem. But if all you're doing is swapping the plastic, you don't even have to... Ooh, that's a bad one right there. See? It's like a little sprue now. So in that case, I'm just going to sort of pick that off and push it towards the inside. And from the outside, you won't be able to see it, especially because the wheel sits flush with the iPod. But yeah. And now if all you're doing is swapping the plastic, you can just take this and just stick it back on there. Again, make sure it's face up. You can just stick it back on there and you're probably fine if you just stick it on and press it down. Odds are this is not coming off. It's not as strong as it was before, but you know, if all you're doing is swapping the plastic, you're probably fine, unless the adhesive got super messed up. But once this is done the first time, you can pretty much just pry it off, because now the adhesive is weakened. But if you want to be a little bit extra diligent, you can do what I did with the other one, where you just sit and you just sort of rub the adhesive off with your fingers. I wouldn't use alcohol or anything like that. It's really not that strong of adhesive. It's just sort of, it's sort of like that gummy stuff that you see holding together paper and cardboard in like packaging sometimes, where it's like, it's kind of like a, I don't know how to explain this, but you know what I mean? It's like that kind of stickiness. Almost like double-sided tape, actually, but it's like a, yeah. You know, it's sticky enough still that it'll hold on there. But that is all you would do then. Otherwise, yeah, so if you wanted to clean that off, then put the double-sided tape on here. That's fine, but it's fine like this. The only reason I cleaned the adhesive off of the 7th Gen one is because once I took it apart, I was like, oh man, that adhesive is really inconsistent. Maybe that's the issue with the dead zones. And so I completely redid it, and it didn't fix it. I thought I might have been placebo, but it does feel like it made it a little bit better. Like it made the dead zones smaller. I might be crazy. Can't tell. But either way, that is pretty much all you need to do. And then I suppose I said I was going to test this, didn't I? Crap. I think the battery in this is dead. But we will try our best anyways. This is totally... Oh man, this is like fully disassembled. Okay, well, let's just put that on there. Well, before I do that, make sure you don't put it upside down. And line it up. There are these, oh no, on this one there aren't. See how like the center ring just is like a circle? On the 7th Gen ones, it's got those little notches in the circle. See what I mean? And those notches line up with the plastic and make sure that you can't put it on crooked. I mean, you can't really put it on crooked anyways because of the white bumps, but still, that's kind of weird. I didn't notice that till just now. So I'll put that back on. And we're just going to Shrek pod this and see if hopefully I can get it to, man, there's a bunch of screws in there. Yeah. Oh, man, I just dumped out one of the screws. We're just going to see if the battery is alive and if I can, where'd that screw go? There it is. If I can at least just test this, because that is what I would like to do. Oh God, this is just a train wreck. So if you are satisfied with the video, you can leave now. You don't have to watch me do this. I shouldn't even be doing this because it's kind of pointless, but oh God, this is just... Don't do this. Just, if you want to, just reassemble it normally. Oh man, just reassemble it normally to test it. Don't do this. This is just bad. Yeah, I'm reassembling it without the frame and everything. Oh my God. Okay, you know what? Let's take the battery out of there. This one's already been removed, so I can just pull it out. And then I'm just gonna plug it in like this, because I can't be bothered to do this the normal way. And this is probably dead. And my cat's meowing. Okay, well, yep, it does appear that it is dead. Yeah, okay, well, let's, I want to be sitting here. Yeah, stupid. Good. Wake up. Hey, it's waking up. Look at that. It's really hard to test these when they're not actually fully assembled, but let's see. Let's see if I fixed it. Nope. But like I said, it was doing this already. Wait. No, lock switch is not on. And yeah, you can tell that the click wheel is not working, because when your click wheel doesn't work, the buttons don't work either. That's a weird thing, but yeah, because it was locked. But yeah, it doesn't detect the buttons either. I don't know. Is this... So this one's a 5.5. I don't know if this is... I think this is just a regular 5th gen. Yeah, it definitely is. This is just a regular 5th gen. The wheels are identical, so it should be fine. But I don't know. This doesn't work in this iPod, and I don't know why. But like I said, it's not because I took it apart. It was already doing this. You're just gonna have to trust me that I didn't break it. But otherwise, that is it. That's how you swap the plastic in these stupid things, which is really helpful for making those aggravating aftermarket parts actually fit properly. Especially if you already have a broken click wheel, it's perfect. So yeah, thank you. Oh my god, this is way longer than I thought it was gonna be.